to our corporate setup that we use this word very often, management. In reality, it goes to that Italian setup where it was used for controlling the horses, and in more or less we think that we're doing the same thing, but in reality it is not. We are actually dealing with humans, not horses. Now, another thing on mind is that Walt Disney, he said that if you can dream it, you can do it, and it is the mind that has got that weakness. Again, there was a book which was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it says that sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. And it was Stephen Covey. He had written in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and that's where it is. It is the whole chain that comes from. Mind is nothing but it is bundle of thoughts. It depends on the kind of thoughts that you have, depends on the impressions that you're forming, if it is positive or negative, and same things are going to return back to you in some or the other form. Same vibrations, same thoughts. If you pass positive thoughts, those positive thoughts are going to come back to you. And here I'll read the 4th bullet point. It says Krishna is striking the mind and thinking process. Means it says that if you have the right thinking, it will generate the right emotions, and if you have the right emotions, it will generate the right actions, and it will generate the right result. And it is fear. We had discussed about fear. This is another word, that is fear, and that's where the mind is important, because mind is the powerhouse of thoughts. It generates thoughts, and it doesn't matter what kind of thoughts it is there. If it is positive thoughts, it will give you positive effects. If they are negative thoughts, it will generate negative emotions, it will generate negative actions, and it will generate negative results. Every action has got equal and opposite reaction. That's what it is. So that's where the law of karma comes into place. What you do is that you send your actions, you get your reactions. So if you send your actions as positive, you get positive actions. If you send your actions as negative, you get negative actions. If you someone in a very charged and emotionally in an anger mood, you will get his response in an anger mood. If you talk to someone in an affectionate, in a compassionate manner, you will get a response in a very polite and very reserved manner. That is what it means about. So now we will move to the next approach, where he takes as an inspirational style. Here in this chapter 6 and verse 34, it says that Arjuna says that, look, you're talking about mind and you're asking me to control my mind. I cannot control my mind. Mind is restless. It is restless like monkey. And this is in chapter 6 and verse 34. It says that I cannot control my mind, and it's easier said than done. So then in the next sloka, he says that you can control your mind by regular practice and by cultivating dispassion. And that's where the idea here it comes from. And how do you control your mind? How do you control your passion? How do you cultivate that? And these are the 4 principles that he has given, Krishna has given. And it is sthiti prajna. It is firm in judgment and wisdom. That is sthiti prajna, that you are stable. Your mind is stable. It is stable mind, steady mind, stable wisdom, stability of emotions, that no matter what, you are calm in that situation. That is sthiti prajna. You can control your mind by practicing and by having cultivating dispassion. So the formula is that you practice principles, and then you practice self-restraint. When you combine both, you get you control your mind. When you are able to control your mind, you're able to unlock your own potentials that are locked within you. So that is what second principle here is Niskam Karmyog, which is there in chapter 2, which is there in which is very famous, which is 47, which talks about selfless action. That is, you have control over doing your duties only, but no control or claim over the result. The fruits of work should not be a motive, and you should never be inactive. Means no one can exist in this world by being inactive, by being in action. Means not performing. Together, inaction is the same word. That's what it is. It is called as Nishkam Karma, selfless action or work. Now, the third principle here is samta. Samta is equanimity or sameness of level or evenness of temper. That you are unaffected by rag, dvesha, which is likes and dislikes, pleasure and pain, which is good. It's easier. I understand that must be coming to the mind. That's easier said than done. Yes, it is easier said, but then these are the principles. They need to be practice. These are dualities. Look, that's what it is. This is the art. Chapter 5 verse 10, it talks about it. It has given an example of lotus. It talks that the lotus is born in the water, in the muddy water, but it lives above the water and it is untouched by that muddy water. That is how the life should be, and that's what Samta says, that we should not be affected by likes and dislikes. We should not be too attached to those things that are happening around us. So we should be unaffected but still living in the world. It is not that we need to renounce the whole world and go in the caves in the Himalayas. Now, nor we need to end our life, but we need to be more aware of the situations that are happening around us. We need to be more self-conscious of the things that are happening around us. And Samata is basically having that equanimity. And the last principle is Avadhana. Avadhana is awareness, mindfulness of the situations that are happening around us. Means living in present, being mindful of the things happening around us. That is the awareness. So many times, not so many times, very often we do things without actually being aware that we are doing it. And that only happens, and this happens every time. And we are quick, and the weakest thing is that when we are trying to communicate with someone, when we are trying to liaise with someone, we often jump to conclusions. And we are quick to answer that without actually being aware of our own responses. So that is what it is. We should be mindful, and this is the mark of a leader, that we should be aware of the situations that are happening around us, being mindful of the situations. Now, I'll quickly recap it. Sthiti Prajna is actually firmness of wisdom. It is stable mind, steady emotions, stable wisdom. That is Sthiti Prajna, and that's there. These slides would be there online, so we can actually go back and refer those slokas which actually relate that point and they convey the message. Second is Niskam Karma, selfless action. We work, but we should not expect what the results we are going to get, but we should work with selfless action. We should work, we should give our 100% in that. I remember on this, just to Martin Luther Jr., he said in one of the, somewhere in one of his speech, he said that we should, even if there is a sweeper, he should sweep the road with such accuracy that when the gods are passing by, they should stop and they should look at the road and they should say, the once here lived a sweeper. That should be the perfection. That should be the utmost aim, that you do your duty with selfless, that the people, they are able to make judgment and remark on the work that you have done and the perfection and the accuracy that you have delivered. So that is Niskam Karma, without actually thinking about the awards. And then it is Samta, equanimity, and then Avadhana is awareness. Now, quickly on this one, practice, the idea is practice principles plus self-restraint, we develop leadership skills. And what are those principles? The principles that we have discussed, we need to regularly practice those principles. Principles, Sthiti Prajna, Nishkam, Samta, and Avadhan, mindfulness. And then we need to practice self-restraint. You need to practice that self-restraint. And after that, we develop leadership skills. And here's a model. Now, the one that here, starting from the center, mind generates thought, thoughts generate emotion, emotion generate action, action generate result. And this all happens from mind. And the question that could come to our mind is, from where do we get thoughts? Thoughts are coming from mind, and how come the mind is generating thoughts? Because that's what it is, that we feed, subconsciously we feed thoughts, and they are stored as impressions in the subconscious level, and then later same thoughts, they are generated and they surface on the conscious level. Making sense? It is Subconsciously, we generate thoughts which are stored in the subconscious level, and when we are in the conscious state, those same thoughts, they surface on the conscious level and they come out as thoughts. So it is a chain, it is a vicious cycle which goes to the mind, and then mind generates thoughts, and those thoughts are fed back into the subconscious level. And this is there. Now mind is there, and these four principles, they are sitting at the corner: Sthiti Pragya, Samta, Avadha, Nishkam. And when we practice it using self-restraint, we are able to manage our own mind. And when we are able to manage our own mind, we are able to capture, we are able to restrain our own thoughts, we are able to generate our thoughts, we are master of our own emotions. We are not actually slaves of our emotions and passions, so we are in control of our mind, and we are in control of our behavior, and that's what it says. We have got, and these are the styles that were displayed by Krishna during that discourse. It is outgoing, friendly, and it is not to say that only one style was used by Krishna. It was a combination of styles that was used, and that all happens with us, that from time to time, from situation to situation, we actually use different kinds of styles. And there is moral and ethical, lead by example, chapter I think it is chapter 3, where it talks about lead by example. And chapter 3, sloka 20 and 21, they talk about lead by example, where the example of Janak has been given. Another style that he took was authoritative style, charismatic style. Charismatic is actually coming from a Greek word which means grace. Now, another style is value-based, supportive, influential, directive, and then it is detached. And we'll take up, and that last slide.